Good morning, everyone. Oh, my multiple glasses that I need. Oh, thank you for whoever invented glasses, right? Yes, yeah, figured that out. Yeah, it seems to be a simple thing, but actually, uh, uh, I read up on that, and to develop one, I can't remember now if it was far-sighted or nearsighted, wasn't all that complicated. But I think it's called concave way of developing glasses was much more complicated. Yes, but someone did it, and yahoo! Yes, wonderful. Um, I saw an amazing little clip of a doctor saving a baby that had just been born and it's not breathing. And I think it's not in the United. It wasn't in the United States. It was. I want to say it was in the Philippines, but I'm not sure if it was in the Philippines either. And the doctor took the baby into another room, and started working on it really calmly. There wasn't any noise going on except for there was another person obviously there filming, and and he just was the most calm and you just, I was mesmerized. I was just watching, and suddenly you could see that baby's hands were all blue. I mean, up to here is all blue. Its face was, you could tell, a little blue. Anyway, big fat baby though. And suddenly you could see the fingers moving, and he kept working on it, and then suddenly it was crying. Yes, and then he kept, you think, oh, okay, everything's good now, but he kept, okay, let's see, and checked it again, and this and that, and they stopped crying, and then he would stimulate it again, and then, all right. Anyway, amazing. It's just amazing to watch. And also the doctor's countenance on how intensely he was working on checking again. This is so concentrated. And then, when, okay, it's good. It's out of the woods, on how there was this smile on his face, or just, you could just, the transformations. It was amazing, from just about death back to life. Yes? Okay. Of course, I couldn't help myself. I had to go and check in the comments, And there was one comment: talk to the baby. I'm reading this, I'm going, that's what someone got out of watching this. Why isn't he talking to the baby? He needs to talk to the baby. I went in and I said, he is talking to the baby. They're connecting spiritually. And here's the other thing, too. I wonder sometimes when people I always say, reflect before you react, okay? In a moment like this, if I put myself in the shoes of the doctor, what do you need? You need absolute silence so that you can hear, in case the baby, he starts to breathe, starts to move, if there's something happening, right? And you have a whole bunch of noise around you. What are you going to all miss, right? Yes? In any case, he didn't use a machine to help the baby. He used one of those things that you squeeze, which was also really silent, right? And anyway, so there's that, right? And I completely understood why he was just there concentrating, right, on making sure. He's so concentrated on all the steps that needed to be done. Talking would do what in a case like that? Distract, right, from everything else. Also, the person that was taking the video didn't talk, never said a word, even after the baby was already crying and it seemed like it was okay. Nobody talked. And I thought, has it occurred to the person who put that comment in that this baby just about came back from the dead, okay? And whose voice, most likely, should be heard first? Yes? Mom, dad, right? The ones the baby heard all through what? The months in mom's womb. And I thought maybe they're being maybe this baby was born somewhere in a hospital where the people around are actually still respectful about that kind of stuff. Where they believe that the first moments belong to whom? Right? The parents. And so anyways, I just thought, what a thoughtless comment after having just watched this video where you can hardly help the tears flowing when you see that the baby's doing okay. Yes? Anyway, well, I wanted to share that again. I do that often when I come across a discussion or something. Yeah, here online, where you can take your time. The person isn't sitting there and you're going, let me think. Let me go and think first about that. Which one could do too. I said, well, can't really give you an answer to that. I got to think about that. So next time we get together, all right, we'll pick it up again. Often I step back and I say, I'll have to pray about this first. I have to think about, what is the correct or the appropriate answer to someone that is being very combative, kind of attacking one's belief, faith, opinions, way of life, way of thinking. And I don't want to make enemies out there. I'd like to answer questions, even attacks in a way that still shows a loving heart. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what we need to change, right? Yes? Okay. Anywho. Yeah, so now we are in the book of Job. Let's get going here because we have to go. We're going to my oldest daughter's. My younger daughter here, she's still preparing for she got the second interview, and she's preparing with my daughter. Isn't that nice how they work together like that? Preparing for the second interview. And my daughter could just wait and then go, but she says, it's better if I'm better prepared. And she did get some materials to study. So she's going to go over to my oldest daughter's, and they're going to study together. And my oldest daughter already kind of works in that field. She has quite a bit of experience with all that. And so she's going to help my younger daughter to have a really good second interview. Isn't that something? Yes, it is something, isn't it? Thank you, Father. Oh, thank you, Father. Okay. Book of Job. So I got to get this going here. Book of Job. And we are in 34. We only got 8 more to go after this. Yeah. Okay, the 3 sages have failed to justify God. So what? Now from being Job's 3 friends, they're now 3 sages. It's a masterpiece of poetry. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. All right. 34. Elihu continued his speech. He said, and now, you sages, listen to what I say. Oh, he's not just talking to Job. Now he's talking to the 3 friends as well. And he really hasn't said a word yet when it comes down to it. It's what you call a whole lot of hot air going nowhere. Reminds me of our chimney, where the first stove we had, it was an insert, but I didn't know that. We got the stove from someone, and hey, saved us a lot of money, and I thought, oh, this is great, I can cook in the back there. Well, no, by the time the stove was in, which I wasn't there saying, hey, wait a minute, what are you guys doing? That's not how I want it. How's that going to heat the house, right? Half the stove was inserted into the chimney part, yes, and then, okay. And then there was a blower that went with it. Well, what do you have to do with a blower? You have to plug it in. Oh, yeah. You know what? When we first moved here into the mountains of Kentucky, man, it literally is, I wonder if a bird's going to poop in the line today because that means the power will be out again. It's literally like that, okay? So we had so many power outages in our area there. And then it got better. They did a whole lot of repairing this and that. So, and it's pretty good now, I have to say. But at that time, and so the blower, right? So when you would put wood or coal into that stove, most of the heat would go up into the chimney, not into the house. So you can imagine. But I figured that out too. You just close off one room, and that heats up pretty quick. But a lot of hot air going nowhere, right? There was a lot of wood and hot air going, and coal going. We were heating the outside, I tell you. That we didn't have springtime 2 months earlier than everybody else. That surprises me to today. But anyway, that just came to my mind. Then I went and I finally had enough. And I went and got a proper stove, coal and wood stove, and the technical college, yes, in our little county. I went and I said, I need a plate this big that will fit to close up the chimney so I can pull the stove all the way out and then put a pipe. It didn't go up like this. It went out like that into the chimney. And I made the dimensions and everything. And they just happened to have a plate just about that size. And they fixed it up for me. The students there did. It cost me $10 to do that. Oh, it was great. And it is one where I can lift up the top and cook on top of it. Isn't that cool? Yes. All right. Anyway, I don't know why that came up. I guess it's getting colder. That's how we heated our house. We didn't have electric heat. Still to this day, don't have central heating. All right. Now, let's get going. And now, you sages, listen to what I say. Lend me your ears, you learned men. The ear distinguishes the value of what is said, just as the palate can tell one food from another. Let us consider together God's ruling and decide what we all mean by good. Job has been saying, I am upright, and God denies me fair judgment. My judge is treating me cruelly. My wound is incurable for no fault of mine. Can anyone else exist like Job, who laps up mockery like water, who consorts with evildoers, and marches in step with the wicked? Did he not say no one derives any benefit from enjoying the society of God? Listen to me then, like intelligent people. Far be evil from God, or injustice from Shaddai, for he pays people back for what they do, treating each as his own conduct deserves. Be sure of it, God never does wrong. Shaddai does not pervert what is just. Did someone else entrust the world to his care? Was he given charge of the universe by someone else? Okay, now let's go back to the beginning of the story. How did Job, according to the masterpiece of poetry of someone who wrote all this down, okay, Shakespeare, okay. What did it say? Do people, when they get to this part, still remember what it says to begin with? Who did what? God and Satan had a conversation. So what is Elihu? So is Elihu right? According to the beginning of this story? No, he isn't. Job would be right. And very much so. Yeah, God has discerned it. Okay. Elihu, though, comes in and he says, well, God's not like that. Right? So why is it the beginning of the story the way it is? And that's what most people know, right? They don't know the rest of all this. I guarantee you that. So this is like, well, no, it is. It was. The play was started by God and Satan competing with each other. over a man's life. Does that sound right to anyone? Does God really work that way? Huh? Well, one could say, look at the nations out there. Some are favored by God and some aren't. Right? Yes? Okay. Well, there's something which, is that true? Okay. I don't think so. Right? Yes? One wants it that way because then we don't have to look at ourselves. And this is exactly here. God never does wrong. Shaddai does not pervert what is just. Did someone else entrust the world to his care? Okay, right there. Does God not do wrong? Absolutely not. He does not do wrong. Okay? We do. Right? And then, well, what are the consequences of that? Does God have anything to do with that? I was just wondering. I mean, wondering? Oh, and no. God has nothing to do with that. We can be taught, in theory, whatever, and go, yeah, that sounds great. Oh, yeah. But if we don't put it into practice ourselves, what do we, God says, well, oh, there's a story. I'll tell you this one. A homeless person, a beggar. He says, I have a dream. I want to win $1 million. All I need is just $1 million. Right? Yes. And in the lottery, right? I can win $1 million. But I never win. This, that, never win. But I could win $1 million. Then he has a dream, and an angel comes to him, and he says, why can't I win $1 million? This, that. And the angel says, well, darn it, we've been preparing for it. All this for you. You've asked so many and prayed for so many times for $1 million. So, but you got to go and buy the doggone lottery ticket. Okay. I told it a little different, right? Maybe not as funny as... I heard that one the first time. I've just cracked up. I'm going, exactly, that's right there. Then it applies to this. Here's Ellie who's saying, oh, God is just. He never does wrong. Yeah. So whatever you got, you deserve. And I'm going, stop. Don't put God into the mix of all this. Yeah. Whatever's going on here, this is just a story made up to look like. But this is just theory. Right? This is someone's imagination. This never happened. And this will never happen. There's no way that God would ever have any kind of give and take with Satan, the archangel Lucifer, which is restoring, by the way, now, and take a human life, one of his children's lives, and say, yeah, go ahead and do whatever you want with it. Let's see how well they'll do with that. When I'm not there anymore, protecting them and this and that, and I don't know what. No way! Right? It's fiction. This is all fiction. Yes? Yeah. All right. Anyway. I'm doing this for the reputation of God. So remember that, right? Yes? All right. Doesn't mean that we can't learn from these stories. Yes? Okay. All right. If he were to recall his spirit, to concentrate his breath back in himself, all flesh would instantly perish, and all people would return to dust. No, that's just, I don't know, probably become worse than animals when it comes to, okay, all right. We already know what happens. We already know what happens when people feel mobs. Okay, I don't even have to say what happens when a mob suddenly, riots and all that jazz happens. What happens to people? And how in control are they still of their own faculties when they're in a mob? They lose complete control. They are not in control anymore. And they do atrocious things. Absolute atrocious things. Yes? Yeah. People also do that under the influence of fear. Yes? Yeah. Just saying. That's what would happen. Our conscience, if God were to truly pull out of the next generations, and our conscience would not be connected, our subconscious, our conscious wouldn't be connected spiritually to spirit world anymore, to the image of God, per se, then what would we be capable of to do to each other on a very large scale? Yes? If you have any intelligence, listen to this. Lend your ear to the sound of my words. Could an enemy of fair judgment ever govern? There you go. What did that just say? Would you dare condemn the upright one, the Almighty, who says to a king, you are a scoundrel, and to nobles, you are wicked, who is unimpressed by princes and makes no distinction between rich and poor, since all alike have been made by him? Ooh, remember what I said when Job says something about on how he's now being trodden on by the least of the least, you know? Uh-huh. They die suddenly at dead of night. They perish, these great ones, and disappear. It costs him no effort to remove a tyrant. God's not like that. You see, again, that's not how it happens. There has to be a change in the whole human consciousness of and realization on how cause and effect, right? What are the causes of that one person, for example, like Adolf Hitler, was able to do on what he did? That wasn't just him. He wasn't just a dictator, a tyrant. Oh my gosh, what do you call someone like that? A 100% monster out of this world? Came from somewhere else? Can't be? No, everyone there was, to a degree, a part of that. The past, before Adolf Hitler, created Hitler. By all the other people around. Yes. That goes for serial killers, pedophiles. Why do they exist? That should be the question. The root. Why do they exist? How is that possible? People do things like that to each other. Or some one person gets others to do that dirty work for them. Like, Hitler had Himmler. Okay. Oh, Dr. Mengele. We have Dr. Mengele. I made a video about that. How we have Dr. Mengele here in the United States, all over the world, who chop up children to make them into something else. What do you think they are? Oh, yes, we're doing them a favor. No, they're guinea pigs. People don't realize that. And they're people, again, there's so many people who don't even have anything to do with that. They don't have a child that wonders this. And again, how do children get to that point where they're going, I don't think I'm a boy. I don't think I'm a girl. How is that possible? Babies are so innocent, so pure, until what? Until when? When we start to influence them rather than guide them. When we are into things that a child should never see or be a part of. Yes? Right? We indoctrinate them, even with religion. Well, anyway, I'm just saying. So, the root cause is what needs to be addressed. And that requires a complete change of heart about just about anything we've been taught so far out there. Yes? Yeah. The divine principle comes in handy. Okay, I said before, I don't agree with everything in there either, but the main thing is that we understand that God, our Heavenly Father, our Heavenly Parent, okay, is 100% on the side of only love. That's it. There's no vengeance. There's no fear-mongering. There's no I don't know what going on within God's consciousness, within God's spirit. It is 100% pure, all good. That's something that we need to understand. Then to take a good look at ourselves and ask, how did we get here? Okay? Yes? Okay. Just saying. For his eyes keep watch on human ways, and he observes every step. No darkness, no shadow dark as death, where wrongdoers can hide. He serves no writ on anyone, no summons to appear before God's court. All right. I already said what I had to say about all that. He breaks the powerful without inquiry. No, it doesn't. And sets up others in their places. He knows the sort of things they do. He overthrows them at night to be trampled on. He beats them like criminals, chained up for all to see, since they have turned their backs on him, having understood so little of his ways, as to make the cries of the weak rise to him, and let him hear the appeal of the afflicted. I have no idea where this Elihu comes from and this snap, but as I said, this is all just wishful thinking, right? Now, hey, God's taking care of all this. We don't have to worry. He's gonna punish everyone out there who's not doing right. No, it doesn't work that way, does it? Because if it would, after all these thousands of years, we'd be good, wouldn't we? Yeah. Okay, it's not working that way. This is all wishful thinking. Again, let someone else do the job. We're all involved in all this. We all have to start to change our way of thinking. Anyway, I've talked enough about that beforehand. But so what is he saying here? Elihu isn't saying anything. He's not saying anything different than the other ones did, so I'm not sure why he has so much to say. Let's keep going. But if he's still silent and no one can move him, if he veils his face so that no one can see him, he's taking pity on nations and individuals. What? Is setting some wrongdoer free from the meshes of affliction. When such a one says to God, I was misled, I shall not do wrong any more. Although I have sinned, instruct me. Although I did wrong, I will not do it again. In your opinion, should he punish such a one? You who have rejected his decisions, this is for you to decide, not for me. So kindly enlighten us. You know what? This has to be after, right? This is not the Old Testament. I know that because what did that just bring to mind? He says that. There's all this other stuff. Oh, whoever wrote this down. This was after Jesus. Pretty darn sure. Ordinary sensible people, however, will say to me, and so will any sage who has been listening to me, Job's words are spoken without any knowledge. What he says shows no intelligence. Kindly examine him thoroughly. Okay, whatever Job had to say, was it without intelligence? I don't think it has anything to do with that. People can have a lot of knowledge, right? Yes, tons of knowledge, and still somehow their heart to mind doesn't want to acknowledge that we all carry a certain portion of responsibility, right, to build our own foundation in life, that no one else has anything to do with that, right? As an individual, then you have to build more foundation, take more of the portion of responsibility when you create a child, when you get married. It should be married first and then create a child, right? Yes? All right, why is it like that? Why not the other way? What does it matter, right? If the people who, are together creating a child, are taking responsibility, that is that, there's no question about it, then it won't matter. But it seems to matter now, right? Yes? Getting married, taking responsibility, wanting to do it forever, right? Commitment. It's commitment. But if that's not there and the child is created, guess what? How often one or the other, the parents, oh, well, we're not married, I can run off. Right? Yes? Let someone else take care of that brat. Any man out there, any woman for that matter, if it's the other way around, not willing to pay child support or complain about paying child support, right? When it is decided, yes, this is how it needs to go, you should be ashamed of yourself. Be ashamed of yourself. And you know what? Your children, the ones that later, oh yeah, you've done all this and that. Listen, I've heard it enough from seen it enough, where you just want to step in and say, shut up. What are you doing here? Just shut up. You think your children that are grown up don't know how you behaved? How you unwilling to fork over a few bucks? Huh? Okay, just saying. Huh? Yes? All right. How did we get into this? All right. Intelligence. You can have a lot of knowledge and be really smart, have a high IQ, and still be dumber than a coal bucket. Yes? All right. For other reasons. I was misled. I shall not do wrong any more. Although I have sinned, instruct me. Although I did wrong, I will not do it again. In your opinion, should he punish such a one? Well, indemnity is going to happen regardless. It doesn't matter. There's no question about being punished or not being punished. Okay? Any time, one of the commandments gets broken by us, either as an individual or as a collective, we will be paying indemnity for it. That has to be what? Fixed. Yes? Yeah. In the physical, like spiritually. That's a spiritual kind of thing. Oh, it's physical too. In the physical, yes. I'll bring up the garbage again. The ocean has to be cleaned up. By whom? Does it clean itself up? No. You leave too much garbage there, it's going to create more and more problems. It needs to be cleaned up. So freely having access to all these wonderful, like bottled water, the little bottled water. Yeah, man, that's so handy. That's so doggone handy, isn't it? Yes. The consequence is what? And if it doesn't get cleaned up, which is the indemnity, then it's going to get worse. It will. Yes, I'm just saying. But thankfully, we do have people out there who actually really care about that. It's really amazing. We should thank them. Anyway. So yeah, regardless of on what decision we make to forgive someone, or we are forgiven, we still pay indemnity. And we should be, again, what did I say about child support or alimony? We should be grateful. You should be grateful when you can do that, when you have abdicated responsibility in other places. Yes? Okay. Should be grateful. Should accept indemnity. Because indemnity doesn't just happen because, like it is here, right? Job's such an upright, good man. But he needs to do some indemnity for whatever, God decides. No. If we are paying indemnity and we realize, I'm paying indemnity right now for something. What did I do? We did something. Either as an individual or a collective. And we accept that indemnity. Done. Okay. You who have rejected his decision. This is for you to decide, not for me. So kindly enlighten us. Ordinary sensible people, however, will say to me, and so will any sage who has been listening to me, Job's words are spoken without any knowledge. Okay, what he says shows no intelligence. Kindly examine him thoroughly, since his answers imply that he is a criminal. For to his sin he now adds rebellion, bringing law to an end among us and heaping abuse on God. So now, due to the fact that this is an interesting one, Elihu now has completely turned here for me. First I thought, here comes someone who says, but now he's even worse than the three other ones. Because what he's doing here now is kindly examine him thoroughly. Job now, this isn't a discussion anymore, right? This is Job's rights as a human being now, his faculty needs to be taken away. You see what's going on here? And since his answers imply that he's a criminal, that's not true. Yeah, there's some questionable things there that Job has said in this story of a masterpiece of poetry, but it does not imply that he's a criminal. For to his sin he now adds rebellion. All right, just saying. Oh, that's the end of 34. Wow, this last part's really interesting. Rather than Elihu does not have any kind of answer for Job either. What he does is Job needs to be shut down, and the reason to shut him down is that he's gone crazy now. Do not listen to him. Right? Yes? Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Wow, interesting where this is going. There's all kinds of stuff that comes up. I don't know if you guys know what a lobotomy is, but this is they take part of your brain out or something, where then not sure what isn't working anymore, but you become a little bit of a vegetable. You can still do many physical things, like eating this and that and yourself, but there's other things that don't work anymore. And lobotomies for a while, they were really big. 100 years ago or something. Again, right? Oh, this person is too violent or this or that. So let's just, or criminals or so. And then, of course, it was also used, say, let's just use an example. Say there was someone going to inherit a lot of money, and especially women, and then there were guys around that wanted that money, and they just declared a person insane. Or a wife say, okay, right? And have a lobotomy done. Well, okay, you know what I mean? There's a lot of stories like that. So it wasn't just used to actually subdue someone that really had violent tendencies or this or that, right? But it was used to also, okay, do other things. Silence someone without killing them. What a horrific thing, right? That's a horrific thing to do to someone. And 100 years ago then, so that was one way to get into someone's brain, right? Mess around with people's brains. And, it was done a lot on people who, were considered insane, mentally challenged, I don't know. And scientists and doctors to this day take such advantage of that. Yeah. And the people, they're fine with it. A lot of people are fine with it. A lot of people aren't fine with it. And are voicing their concerns. And, people just need to start saying no to that. Anywho, so one could talk more about it, but I have to get going and get ready. Oh, not too bad. Almost 40 minutes. A good one. May Heavenly Parent bless, protect you, and embrace you with love. And I will talk to you all, God willing, tomorrow.